The Major Arena Soccer League is proud to welcome you to MASL Soccer on MASL TV, KVCR PBS, and we'd like to extend a warm welcome to our viewers tuning in on Fox Soccer Plus. Miter, the official game ball supplier of the Major Arena Soccer League. Learn more at miter.com. Capelli Sport is the official uniform and apparel provider of the Major Arena Soccer League. Learn more at maslsoccer.com. Hello, everybody. You are looking at a live shot of Toyota Arena in Ontario, California, the Inland Empire. Tonight, the Empire Strykers take on the Baltimore Blast in a contest that carries significant weight. Both teams are tied in points, both teams looking to usurp one another and have that opportunity to claim a position in the postseason. My name's Philly, along with the coach Artie Kyrell. Both teams coming off of big games in their most recent outings. One team is going to go home victorious. The other one's going to have to go back to the drawing board and think it over.
Yeah, Philly, both teams are coming in, as you said, off the victories. And the big thing tonight is just who's going to impose whose will first. The last time they played, they were in Baltimore. Strikers went the last three quarters without scoring. So, the sooner the Strikers can get rolling, the better it is for them. Otherwise, Baltimore's confidence is going to come up and grow.
The Strikers are the home team wearing the white jerseys. Baltimore Blast are wearing the black. Your officials today, Kia DePon and Daniel Radford, Adrian Gonzalez, Andy Waller, and Dan Sobieski. And we are underway live under the bright lights of Toyota Arena. You are watching the Major Arena Soccer League. We have two teams that have had very similar seasons, very similar ups and downs. Both teams have had some incredible victories, followed by a series of losses. So far, both teams are in the wins column. Baltimore having just won on the road against Utica City FC in a shootout. The Blast are a team that succeed at home. They've had their struggles on the road. The Empire Strykers, on the other hand, a team that's been hot and cold and up and down, but riding a nice and comfortable winning streak, having won here on Monday on President's Day against the Milwaukee Wave and having beaten the San Diego Sockers this past Sunday for the third time this season, something that they have never done in franchise history. Ali Somo has a little bit of contact by the captain of Juan Pereira, and we just want to acknowledge the fact that Pereira just had his 200th regular season appearance on the road at Utica City FC, and there's an attempt by Marco Fabian as that ding-dong ring-a-ling-a-lings off the crossbar.
That's going to wake them up.
It's going to wake everybody up in the audience here, that's for sure, and hopefully everybody at home. Marco Fabian, the Mexican legend, having competed for El Tri in the World Cup on a number of occasions, won a trophy in the Bundesliga, the Pokal to be precise, playing for Eintracht Frankfurt in 2019. That's a big, big deal considering that Eintracht Frankfurt hasn't had a history of success, but Fabian, a big part of that team, and a big part of the Strikers' success in recent years, having in his rookie season not only been the newcomer of the year, but had the Golden Boot along with the Kansas City Comets' Zach Reggett. Golden Boot, the award going for most goals in the league during a regular season.
So you had a minute 38 of possession for the Strikers and 3 seconds for Baltimore to start this game.
Not a surprise, as the Strikers are a team that like to maintain possession. There we see Andy Reyes, another player on the turf, celebrating a milestone. Reyes, a club icon, now playing in his 100th game with the Strikers franchise tonight.
Just sees the Baltimore's just comfortable with giving away this space here, although they did get caught on the transition when Marco hit that first time. So it's going to be interesting to see a little battle of wits here, who's going to extend and who's going to, make that first error.
Stinson tries to fire it in. That gets belted. And the Strikers maintain possession. These two teams met back on February the 1st. In Baltimore, a game in which the Blast absolutely obliterated the Strikers by a score of 8-2. Historically, there's been 8 meetings overall between these two teams, dating back to December 1st of 2017, a game in which the Blast beat the then known as Ontario Fury 8-5. We would see goals by two players who are still with their respective franchises, Andy Reyes, who we just mentioned, and Jonatas Mello, who also is on the turf for the Blast, or in the game rather. These two players scored in that game. And it's interesting, considering the 12-year history of this league, that this is only the 8th meeting. You and I haven't had many opportunities to call Blast games, so we do want to say hello to all our friends tuning in from the Northeast. We hope you're keeping warm. We share similar weather these days, and I don't say that tongue-in-cheek. It's been rather cold and rainy here in Southern California. Justin Stinson, the Empire Strykers elite midfielder, was on the short list for the Golden Boot last year. Was a goal or so shy from winning that award. That would be an award given to the then Chihuahua Savages, Jorge Rios, as that one comes out of play with 11:17 remaining. On the turf for the Empire, we see Barbaro Chalier, newly acquired from Utica City FC. Cuban-born international, competed on the Cuban futsal team, along with his now teammate, Walter Diaz-Gonzalez. Robert Palmer, one of the most imposing defenders in the MASL, connects in with Andy Reyes. See Steven Chavez on the turf. Isak Somo and Chalier. Brian Orozco, who is a scoring threat offensively. In between the sticks for the Baltimore Blast is Julian Rodriguez, and I'm going to give a shout out to the young goalkeeper. Not very often I get to engage in conversation with a gentleman who's from the same neck of the woods I'm from, Queens, New York, albeit he's from Bayside and I'm from Forest Hills.
So both teams being very patient. Baltimore kind of dropping in and extending out versus kind of the lateral traps that most teams have been using thus far against the Strikers. So interesting to kind of see that angular change there defensively.
Wellington Bramus right in that midfield, trying to operate as the middle part of the Strikers' offensive sandwich, getting in the way as that pass comes back over to Reyes. Patrick Thompson on the turf for Baltimore. As we see Jonatas Melo, been with the Baltimore Blast 10 years now. Melo has seen some things, part of that iconic three-peat Blast team that really tore through the MASL in its early inception. Stinson kicks that one high in the air, trying to find Qudis Lawal. Thompson clears it, pass into Palmer. Palmer fires it off target. And yeah, you're right, Artie. For this moment, it's been really all Strikers in terms of possession. But there we see Melo, an elite midfielder, gets dispossessed. We see Ali Somo, two Somo brothers on the turf for the Empire Strykers. So from here on out, just to avoid any confusion, number 99 we will refer to as Ali, number 24 Isak.
So a lot of possession for the Strikers, but it's possession where the Blast is saying you can have this space. So it's not as though they're possessing through pressure. Baltimore's just electing to kind of sit in and kind of be organized behind it.
And Fabian fires it, and the chip by Lawal did not have enough mustard on it. Gets the wrong end of his boot on the miter ball, and an easy save. Not going to get any easier for Rodriguez. Stinson with some space to operate. He fires, and another save by Rodriguez. Collected in by Jairo Guevara. A lot of explosive firepower on this Blast team. Picked away by Qudis Lawal. He's got Fabian wide open to the right. Fabian puts on the brakes. Into Diaz-Gonzalez. Chips it in, trying to find Ben Sudeth, who celebrating a birthday. We have a player down on the turf, and that is Guevara. He's been on the turf for a little while. The official blows the whistle just to tend to the player. Jairo Guevara in his third year in the MASL and with the Baltimore Blast out of Alexandria, Virginia. He's had a career high in goals this season. It looked like he took a shot to the face, but he's going to head back over to the bench. And it's going to be a restart here for Empire. As entering back onto the turf is Kevon Frater, second year in the MASL, Cuban international out of Harbor View FC. Played USO at the Colorado Springs Switchbacks and New Mexico United. One cap with Jamaica in 2019, and that's a high praise, getting to put on a Reggae Boys kit without question.
Indeed.
Pass comes in to Polo Hernandez. Hernandez in to Somo. Strikers have a few players that from upstate New York. Isak, his brother Ali, and now Chalier. Isak goes to his right into Reyes. Reyes finds Alan Perez, tries to skirt it through into Munir Alami. And we see two players in their sophomore season here in the MASL, and that of Chad Porch and Munir Alami, two players that were considered for Newcomer of the Year. Of course, that would be an award given to Chad Porch of the Baltimore Blast. As we now head into immediate timeout with 7:53 remaining here in the first quarter, both teams knotted up at a goose egg a pop. We're going to step aside for a quick break, and when we come back, we got some more first quarter action for you here from Toyota Arena in Ontario, California.
Got a goalkeeper change as well for Baltimore here on the restart for the top of the arc.
As Stinson passes into his left to Fabian. Fabian fires it off target. Ricochets off of the plexi. Stinson going back to Fabian. Fabian, who also will lay credit to the fact that he is an Olympic gold medalist, having won with Mexico in the 2012 London Summer Olympics. That was a big-time move for Mexico as they beat Brazil in that match. On the counter is the Blast. Frater, that one gets belted into the stands. And unfortunately for the fan who caught the miter, that is not a take-home souvenir. Although it would be kind of fun to take home some of these balls, but then that would get very expensive. I know our friends at Miter would be thrilled, though, if we kept making requests and orders for more of their balls. Pass coming in to Wellington Bramus. He wears Welly on his number 77 jersey. So henceforth, we will refer to Welly as Welly. Out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Baltimore, an interesting landing spot for 7 Brazilians. 7 Brazilians, and over the course of the Blast's history, that extends back to 92 when they were called the Baltimore Spirit. And yes, fans, I do know that the Baltimore Blast's history does extend even further. But in 92, Ed Hale, who was owner of the original team, bought the rights. He had the rights to the Blast name, came back into the league as the Spirit, renamed on July the 10th of 1998. And here we have one of the most iconic franchises in the history of the indoor game. And by the way, I want to give a credit to the kit designers, the jersey makers. Excellent jerseys as that ball takes a deflection off of the head of Pat Thompson. Thompson out of Norfolk, Virginia. He's been in this league for as long as the league's been around. 12 seasons. Started with the Heat, played with Syracuse, played with St. Louis and Utica City FC in his 4th year. Corner kick restart for the Strykers as Hernandez fires it in. And a near goal by Diaz-Gonzalez, who's been on a tear for the Empire Strykers as of late. Now in his 12th game, he's managed 8 goals, 4 assists, so averaging a point a game. Diaz-Gonzalez, along with his teammate now Shalir, played with the Cuban national futsal team. Pass comes into Stinson. Stinson trying to put the footwork on Thompson. Fires it in. Sila with the clear. If you head on over to MASLsoccer.com, an excellent article on Umar Sila, written by the legendary soccer writer Michael Lewis. Something we learned in that article is trained with Stoke City in England and has had a heck of a career. Through ball in.
Numbers up here.
And Kia Depanen blows the whistle. What do we got on the turf, Coach?
I'm thinking there might have been a substitution issue or something. I mean, that clearly wasn't a 3-line pass. I mean, it was a great sequence for Baltimore. They had a 2v1 to goal.
You see some confusion as Mello and Guevara of the Blast wondering what's going on. The officials are huddling over by the scorer's table just kind of determine what the deal was. There we see Rodriguez.
I mean, I believe it came from the third official in the box, so it has to be too many men. I would assume. I mean, there's really no other explanation to stop.
No, they were debating whether or not it was three lines.
3 lines. Ball was on the ground.
Well, that's what everybody in my ears are telling me right here.
Well, literally didn't get more than a foot off the ground, did it? And it went off the wall.
So we're going to get official confirmation here is, well, David Bascombe, the head coach of the Baltimore Blast, comes on to the turf. So let's head on over to the tail of the table. Let's see how both of these teams stack up statistically here.
So you look at the records, you know, they're both right at the, well, you know, Baltimore's at the Mendoza line. Empire's just slightly below it, so you can kind of see they're right there. -1 and a +7 is the biggest difference, where the Strikers have kind of come on at home, but they begin up giving up goals as well as they're taking them. You know, the number is 6.4 goals for. So I mean, it's about as level as it can be.
And the Blast do have a couple of games in hand against the Strykers. The Strykers, this is now their 17th. Blast
the call
15th.
on the field is too many men against Baltimore. 2-minute power play for Ontario.
Not sure why anybody in our ear would have said the three-line pass, so we do apologize for that. But, yeah, Coach, you were right. That's why we have you on here, the rules maker. So let's explain the blue card scenario to our new viewers tuning in at home.
Well, the blue card is in this instance is when the substituting player came on too early, which had too many players on the floor. As a result, it's a blue card, which results in 2 minutes in the sin bin. So the Strykers will play 5 versus 4. In the event the Strykers score, then that player in the sin bin will come out.
Now, we don't see anybody heading to the sin bin just as of yet, but as far as the penalty kill for the Blast, operating at that 70% efficiency, the Strykers 25% when it comes to their power play. So now we have Jairo Guevara sprinting over to the bin of sin. So there'll be a 2-minute power play, and the Strykers will have an opportunity here to score a power play goal. And for a team that really likes to utilize the goalkeeper as that super extra attacker, it's interesting that they've only operated at a 25% efficiency from the power play.
Yeah, it all comes down to tempo. Now they've brought on Berto, an extra passer.
Yeah, Palmer is in wearing the extra attacker jersey. There you see in the red is Brian Orozco. The Strykers keeper heads over to the Pine Pony. Palmer, who has been incredible at contributing to his teammates' success in terms of assists. Last season, he was second in the league. Everybody knows him as a multi-time defender of the year. Pass comes into Stintz, and Stintz are into Diaz-Gonzalez.
Yeah, Berto took an early shot last game as well as he did this game, just to probably throw the teams off because he's a great passer.
An incredible passer, really the anchor of this back line for the Strykers. Goes in to his right, into Alami. Alami back over to Palmer. Palmer off target. That ball ricochets into Fabian. Fabian, who has an absolute bazooka of a leg in terms of shots. Had multiple conversations with keepers around the league, and several of them have indicated how incredibly powerful Fabian's strike is. World-class talent, but no surprise considering his accolades. Palmer chips it into Diaz-Gonzalez. Tried to scissor. The header, what a save by Rodriguez. Another attempt. Rodriguez standing on his toes, standing tall. Excellent save.
And that left arm's a weapon, too. At full strength, if they can catch him like that, you can kind of see he threw it, on a rail. So I'll be interesting to see if that comes out to play. I was talking to Coach Chewy before the game about that, and he was kind of talking about the distance.
Yep. An incredible keeper. One of the best that the city of New York has ever created out of Bayside, Queens. With his club, Bayside, helped win a club title on a couple of occasions, an ESPN natty for that matter. Played at Bayside High School. I played actually in that gym during my basketball days. Fabian tries to squeeze it past, but Rodriguez makes the save. Out of St. Joe's College, New York, Ecuador futsal, where he won a natty as well. U.S. street soccer champion. Yeah, Rodriguez has had a very interesting career. There we see Alan Perez. Alan Perez 1 goal shy of tying his career high. He's had 2 consecutive seasons here in Empire where he scored 9 goals.
Pretty good soccer IQ from the goalkeeper as well right there. You saw him just kind of escort the ball to the edge until someone came, because as soon as he picks it up, then the 4 count starts. Otherwise, it just continues to go. So a little, just trying to take the seconds off the clock.
Pereira trying to cause some chaos. The captain, as we mentioned, now in his 201st regular season appearance, steals it away. Can the Blast get something creative built up here with 2:40 remaining here in the first quarter? Pass comes into Ospina. Ospina. And that one gets kicked back over to Rodriguez. We talk about the number of Brazilians that are in this league that are talented, but how about the Jamaicans between Frater and Palmer, Ramon Palmer in Kansas City? Tavoy Morgan, absolutely an incredible target forward playing for the San Diego Sockers. Obviously that man right there, the captain of the Empire Strykers. Munir Alami facing pressure in from O'Neal Fisher. Isak Somo.
I used to enjoy the conversations on the vans when Berto would call home.
Well, I mean, are you going to enlighten us with any kind of dialogue?
No, just the accent and the the language they use back home, you know, just the slang and stuff. It was just cool. You know, Jamaican man, you know what I mean?
I was going to say, if you're going to tell us times, because Artie, for those that don't know, was the assistant coach of the then Ontario Fury, which changed into the Empire Strykers. I'd say you and I have gotten to know each other very well throughout the years. You were part of the technical staff alongside head coach Jimmy Nordberg, who was Major Arena Soccer League Coach of the Year. Obviously, through your son, Joseph the Jet Kyrell, may he rest in peace. You have significant ties to this sport and to this league.
Yeah, very, very grateful to the league and very fortunate to be here. Very blessed. Enjoying every minute of it.
Oh, I'm enjoying every minute with you, my man. Pass in from Palmer into Steven Chavez here in his first year in Southern California, formerly of the Texas Outlaws. And look at the defense by Nico Williams, trying to force a turnover, but that one takes an unfortunate bounce for the Blast right into the public address announcers table, where we see our good buddy Jason Hernandez letting everybody in the arena know what the deal is. Pass in to Ali Somo. Somo here in his first year in Southern California, just a revelation, a kid who's got absolute speed. Pass in to Shalir. Shalir in his second year in the MASL, over to Orozco. Orozco fires it in, and Orozco, don't be surprised if you see a goal or an assist from that young man. He's scored on multiple occasions, playing with the Guatemalan national futsal team. There's another attempt by Ali, and that takes a hard bounce into Justin Stinson. Stinson has St. Charles, Missouri. Spent part of his youth at the West Ham Youth Academy in England. We know that factory has produced a lot of incredible talents. Rio Ferdinand, Frank Lampard, legendary names in the outdoor world. 5 seconds. Pass into Chavez. Can the Strykers fire one more off before the quarter ends? And the answer to that question is a big emphatic no. So both teams ending the first quarter here tied at 0-0 with the way they've both been operating. Baltimore Blast averaging 6.4 goals per game. The Strykers 5.2. Rather surprising that we don't have any goals in the first quarter. But for you new casual observers, stick around. So much more action to be had here. You're watching the Major Arena Soccer League, the greatest and fastest show on turf. Folks, in the first quarter, the Empire Strykers would have 7 shots. Interestingly enough, we don't have any statistics on the Blast firing any away towards goalkeeper Brian Orozco. Thus far, it's been Empire controlling possession.
I think it's pretty clear Baltimore is well aware that the Strykers come out fast and we're perfectly comfortable to give away possession through the middle section and defend the yellow. I mean, although they gave up some shots, you know, they got through it unscathed. So
once again, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to KVCR PBS, as we are very thankful to be on their network. PBS is a channel that I had a lot of experience with as a young man, watching Sesame Street and the Ken Burns docs, by the way, in particular the baseball one. So we are very fortunate to be partnered with KVCR PBS. Strykers looking to find some space in between this Blast defense. The Blast have stood tall, and Rodriguez had made some incredible save of the week worthy performance saves as Alami fires it in. Bottom left corner where the dust mites dwell. The Strykers go up by a score of 1-0.
No wind up. Boom. There it is.
Surprising Thompson as Ali Somo threaded the pass through, and for Alami, that is now his 11th goal of the season. He is the Strykers' leading scorer. Moroccan international, played with Morocco's U19 national team, or youth national team, I should say. Also featured in the first division. Alami also a part of the bumpy pitch team that won that $1 million prize this past summer in Cary, North Carolina at the TST, the soccer tournament. As I mentioned earlier, he was on the short list for newcomer of the year in the league last year. But Chad Porch, wearing the number 4 for the Baltimore Blast, won that coveted trophy. And no surprise there, as he had 23 goals and 10 assists in his first year. Isak trying to work his way past Ospina into Fabian. Fabian, who did not feature for the Strykers this past Monday. Fabian not known to go back-to-back games. Head coach Anu Abassi looking to keep him clear. A shot, almost a goal of the week. Opportunity for the Blast as Brian Orozco was well outside of his box.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for those quick counters, quick changes. He let the ball roll above the yellow for no 3 lines, and then had a crack.
And Juan Pereira trying to harness in his inner Leo de Oliveira, who scored a goal from a similar distance against the Strykers this past Sunday at Front Wave Arena in Oceanside. Pereira, the captain of this team, also part of that incredible 3-peat Blast team, along with Jonatas Melo. Porch off of the Empire dasher board, and Palmer is going to hit the deck, fouled by Nico Williams, but that opens things up offensively. Shalir has Chavez. Chavez tries to slide that one through. Pass to Nuclear, as Nico Williams is going to get fouled by the Strykers, Ali Somo.
Very sluggish change on the Blast there. You know, and then they got the low boards too. I mean, there's no reason for that. They're just getting caught with the ball at their feet.
Last recover as Nascimento into Ospina. Ospino out of Colombia here in his second year with the Baltimore Blast. As a rookie, 23 games played, 5 goals, 1 assist. As we're having a structure violation here at Toyota Arena. And shout out to our season ticket holder fans in the front row. That's the beauty of having Velcro for these dasher boards, in particular that National Core dasher board. So that's the beauty of not having the boards up, Artie. I know during COVID the boards were up, and it was a very polarizing aspect for a lot of the fans. They loved being close to the game. And players loved not having the boards there because as the ball would come out, they would get a breather. With the boards being up all around, as we saw in this building during COVID, that season, that shortened season in 2021, the game was significantly faster. For the viewers at home, that was exciting, but obviously for the fans in the building, not as much fun, not being able to participate. And there was an example right there. If you had the plexi up, those fans wouldn't have been able to contribute to fixing that dasher board.
Yeah, it changes the entire vibe of the arena when those boards were up, or the plexi was up.
Welly from Sao Paulo to Boston, second year in the league. He's being pushed aside by Andy Reyes as he collects the ball. Last year as a rookie, 23 games played, 18 goals. Wellington Bramus, affectionately known as Welly, had a heck of a rookie year. As the Strykers have a 2-on-1, it's an opportunity here and a goal in the upper shelf. Justin Stinson, dime dishing dynamo, connecting with Munir Olami. The Strykers go up 2-0.
Again, a giveaway. Got caught on numbers down, 2v1, head up, season opening, lay it off, tap in. Just unselfish play. I mean, the Strykers come quick. You know, they score in bunches, and the touch for the Blast has been just a bit off, a bit sluggish, it appears.
Last season, in his rookie year, Munir Olami, highly successful, but getting a feel for the indoor game. Not to say that he would have missed it, but he would strike it to a point where maybe he would have the precision, maybe he wouldn't. But you can clearly see how confident he was. Justin Stinson laid that off to him on a silver platter, and Stinson now collects his 8th dime of the season. And Munir Olami, another goal, up to 12 in this 25-26 campaign.
That's the biggest thing on the run here of goals at home for the Strykers, is just their desire to share the ball. You know, just like what Justin just did, just, you know, getting it, creating the 2 versus 1 is 1v1 and 1v0. As soon as Justin created the 1v1, that left Olami 1v0, guess what? Just tap and go, easy peasy.
And we had no goals in the first quarter. About 5 minutes here into the second, Strykers up 2-0, and we've seen how effective they've been when they've taken the lead at home early. There's an opportunity, very close call for the Blast. Shot comes back into the Strykers' possession. Stinson gets dispossessed by Silla. Over to Pereira. Pereira to Porch. Chad Porch out of Middleton, Delaware. He was MASL second team last year. Played collegiately at High Point to start before becoming a Delaware Blue Hen. Speaking of which, in terms of graphics, the Delaware Blue Hens, an iconic graphic. NPSL, USL League 2, USL Championship with Charlotte Independence. Has established himself quite nicely here in the indoor game. Umar Silla, who enjoys contributing to his teammates as Robert Palmer tried to dish it off to Isak Somo. Welly on the counter, goes to his right to Mello. Mello trying to find Frater. Cleaned up by the Strikers, but picked up by Nascimento. Nascimento, fourth year in the league, fourth year with the Blast. Did have a 5-year hiatus.
You just saw the difference there between the attack. You know, Baltimore had a 3v2 and just a little bit of a wobble on that first pass and just set the entire timing off. So just execution is just slightly off. But the more they possess the ball, I think the more rhythm they're going to get. So that would be something for the Strikers to kind of try to negate a little bit. Don't let them get into a rhythm.
Thompson into Williams. Battle for the miter, won by Shalir. Connects in with Sudeth. Sudeth in his rookie year, playing indoor soccer. Born in South Korea, grew up in Illinois. Did start his indoor career playing in the M2 with the Chicago Mustangs. Played at Chicago State University and Northern Illinois, while also competing in USL League 2. And also happy birthday to the young rookie.
Little fortuitous handball there because that ball was cleared in behind for the runner. So a little good fortune for the Strikers right now.
Pereira on the restart. That pass comes into the left side. Strikers are doing a good job preventing the Blast from really getting many clean looks. Restart in favor of the Empire. And for those wondering, no, Empire is not a reference to Star Wars. This team was once known as the Ontario Fury, and they are part of a region in Southern California about 50 or so miles from downtown Los Angeles. This is the Inland Empire. So managing partner Jeff Burham opted to encompass this region, which is significantly populated, that doesn't have a major sports team, a lot of minor league teams, but hence the name Empire, sounding far more imposing than the Inland Empire Strykers. Empire Strykers sounds a bit more aggressive, a name that could really spark fear in the heart of the opposition. But no fear into Espina as he made his attempt. Strikers on a counter, a 3-on-2. Pass into Alami. Alami eyeing a Hattie. Stinson has it. Somehow manages to stay on, but excellent defense by Baltimore. Picked right back up by the Strikers. Fabian going for a highlight reel bicycle kick. Far too strong from the Mexican international. And that's going to take us to our second quarter media timeout here. Strikers go up by a score of 2-0, powered off of the back heels of their sophomore sensation, Munir Alami. They currently lead the Blast 2-0 as we head into break. 6:39 remaining here in the first half.
So Philly, during the break there, looking at Coach Bascom, his group has come out a little sluggish in his energy. I love watching him coach, man. I mean, he's just so energetic. He's really into it. I mean, he's on the board and he used his tie to wipe the board. That's a man that's committed to his vision right there.
Sacrificing his attire for the betterment of the Blast. No question about it. And look, we do acknowledge that there's a lot of people tuning in to this game that are not familiar with the sport. So I'm going to tell you a little history lesson as we go through the broadcast. Look, the Baltimore Blast have a significant history in the sport of indoor soccer. 10 titles over the course of their illustrious history. 83-84, 03-04, 06, 08, 09, 13-16. And in the modern MASL era, they won in 2015-2016, 2016-17 season, 2017-2018 season against some very talented Mexican teams. The Monterrey Flash, Solis de Sonora, as Brian Orozco lays in on the miter. This is a team that is highly successful. One of the jewels of the great city of Baltimore, and a team with just an illustrious history with some fantastic fans and a great atmosphere. If you ever get the opportunity to catch a Baltimore Blast game, forget the Ravens, folks. Check out the Blast. That's the ticket anytime you visit Maryland.
It's always a blast to watch the Blast.
Well,
I mean, that crowd is awesome.
Oh,
100%. The crowd is awesome. The energy there is crazy. I mean, it's just definitely a home field advantage.
For the Empire Strykers, they were a team that were established in 2013 as the Ontario Fury, rebranded in 2022 to the Empire Strykers. They were a team that in their best season, which was the 2014-2015 season, they went 13-7. They did manage to go to the Ron Newman Cup Finals in 2021, where they lost here at home on this turf, on this very turf, to the San Diego Sockers. 12 years they've been in the league, and a very exciting team that is at the forefront of doing a lot of great things to help elevate this league, bringing on players of the likes of Jermaine Jones years ago. Jermaine Jones, the U.S. international, obviously Marco Fabian. The pass in and an excellent goal by Chad Porch, last season's newcomer of the year. Baltimore Blast and the blemish. It is now 2-1.
Yeah, you know, as I indicated earlier, I was talking to Coach Chewy about, you know, goalkeeper distribution and catching him in behind, and that's what we saw here. Just kind of over the top, a little late on the rotation, a great reception and hit. So it's tough, you know, because Brian's on his left post, had to rotate over, had a look, and guy was free for that, you know, two-touch hit. So, I mean, that's the one thing the Strikers have to be aware is they're dynamic and they want to go. They've got to make sure, you know, you mentioned Coach Notenberg earlier, you know, his biggest thing was balance, you know, making sure you've got that balance on the back end so you don't get caught like that.
Porch now with his 12th goal of the season, and an important goal for the Blast as they look to shake up the momentum that's been largely controlled by the Empire Strykers, courtesy of that man, Munir Olami. Pass into Fabian. Fabian into Diaz-Gonzalez. Diaz-Gonzalez, the secret is out. Only played in 3 games last season, but did manage 3 goals in those 3 games. This season, he's obviously had a more significant contribution to head coach Onuobasi's system. Onuobasi was last season's MASL Coach of the Year. He, too, has ties to the Baltimore Blast, having been a player during some of their championship runs. So I know that Coach Obasi has a lot of affection towards Ed Hale and the Baltimore Blast organization, as he was a part of them. He also was a part of this team as well, the Ontario Fury. And as a player, traveling with the team, going down to Mexico to call the games for the then Fury/Strikers, while a lot of the players are sleeping on the airplane in between travel, Obasi was there watching film, cutting tape, creating programs for the kids that he was coaching, and it's no surprise that he's become a head coach. Obviously very successful in the small-sided game. Was originally going to coach in Danbury until he got convinced to come here to Southern California. And I know Obasi out of Birmingham, England, probably looked at his experience growing up in Birmingham, playing in Baltimore, also playing in Rochester, USL, and figured, I could get some sun in the winter. I wouldn't mind that. And he's been highly successful as a coach, bringing the Strikers back into the postseason last year for the first time since 2021. 3:25 remaining in the second quarter. Stinson trying to make short work of Nico Williams, who was standing on his ground. Second year for Williams in the league out of Chicago, Illinois. Chi-Town has produced some incredible indoor talent. Stinson over to Fabian. Those two had a lot of chemistry with one another last season. Never was good at the sciences when I was a student myself, but I do recognize chemistry when I see it. And Stinson and Fabian were very dynamic with one another. As Welly connects with it. Tough touch, but whistle is blown on the turf.
Yeah, just stopped the counter right there. Again, you know, I mean, Baltimore is just perfectly comfortable allowing Strikers to play in certain spots of the field, and they want to catch them on that counter. So, you know, very good tactical foul to stop that. But I think, you know, right now Baltimore's okay with the score and going to, you know, stick to their game plan. Obviously, you know, those quick goals for the Strikers weren't part of it. But I think they're all said and done. They're okay with where they are right now.
Rodriguez tried to go into Guevara, but Palmer was there to intercept. Mello back over to Rodriguez. Mello, an incredible story. There was a great story with him, by the way, in 2019 in a game against the Mississauga Metro Stars. He proposed to his then girlfriend at the time, and she did say yes. I believe it was a goal in which the then Baltimore Blast player Andrew Hoxie, who had the best mustache I've ever seen, contributed to the goal by Melo, and he had let his teammates know, and, well, his soon-to-be fiance's family, that he was going to propose after scoring a goal. And I had a conversation with him earlier today, and when talking to the family to ask for their hand, for their permission, they said, well, what if you don't score? And he said, well, no, I'm going to score. He put a lot of pressure on himself, but would eventually score. And, well, the good news is he didn't get a blue card or get kicked out of the game, and still married now happily with 2 kids. And I bring that story up because there was a very similar one here on this turf with Thiago Gonçalves, who did the same thing, proposed to his girlfriend, and he actually got kicked out of the game by the officials. So favoritism for Melo back then? Maybe. I don't know. But Melo, the co-founder of the Golasso Skills Academy, big time in the community. He has such a passion for this game and doing a lot of great things in the community of Baltimore, trying to develop the next generation of talent in the indoor game, the outdoor game, the futsal game. Does it get any better than that young man on the ball, passing to his teammate of several years, Juan Pereira. Oh, the stories these two share, just unbelievable journeys in the Major Arena Soccer League. As that pass comes in to Ospina, back over to Nico. And Nico's going to hit the deck. Foul against Empire with 63 ticks of the second quarter game clock remaining. Nascimento has it back off that pass from Guevara. Thompson with some spaces. Bramus. Welly gets dispossessed by Shalir. Under a minute to go. 2-1 the score remains. Andy Reyes in his 100th appearance for the organization. Tried to find Orozco. That's I don't think so. Can't do it. And that pass right there, top of the arc restart. Baltimore Blast now have an incredible opportunity to find the equalizer here with 45 seconds remaining.
Bring on their specialists and run a play. If it's still on the board.
And that's a dangerous group. We see Pereira, we see Melo, we see Thompson, we see Silla, we see number 19 Guevara. These are some scary, scary players.
And they're pretty well versed with this, because, you get these set pieces a lot in Baltimore.
The back heel pass, the opportunity, and there's the equalizer. Just as the broadcasters predicted it. You can't give a top-of-the-arc restart for a team that's as dangerous as the Blast. Guevara, golazo. It is now 2-2.
Again, just a little pullback. Slipped it underneath him. Brian really didn't see the ball. But, like you said, Philly, you just can't give away those chances. Someone like Berto, that's a very, very bad mistake with someone of his ability and his experience. And we're tied.
42.8 seconds. That took the wind out of the sails of this crowd. Crowd starting to filter in here in Southern California when there's a little bit of rain. What the rest of this country would consider normal, the rest of Southern California would consider apocalyptic. But fans are starting to pile in here. There's an attempt. That was a close call, as Fabian's attempt did take a deflection, almost threaded through the twine. As Hernandez goes in to Orozco. Strykers have had success scoring just as the second quarter game clock was about to expire. Although I don't see Alan Perez, who was the goal scorer on a couple of occasions. Fabian goes into his left. Not sure if Hernandez sees how much time is left. Fabian's going to blast it. Pereira with the deflection. And that's going to end the second quarter. We had no goals in the first 15 minutes. We've seen 4 here in the second quarter. This is the beauty of the indoor game. Anything can happen, and you're ready. And for those neutral parties, you're already being treated to one heck of a game here. 4 goals in the second frame of 15 minutes. We are going into the half with both teams equal at 2-2. Artie, it's Hometown Heroes night tonight, and celebrating a lot of special occasions. We do want to recognize our sideline correspondent and our colleague, Amanda the Panda Filament, who is celebrating her birthday tomorrow. They just did a very nice tribute to her on the big screen. We certainly thank Panda for all of her accomplishments. If you're wondering why a hometown hero, listen, 15 years in the Army, served in Iraq, went to Al Nazariya shortly after 9/11, and currently an operating room nurse at Cedar Cedars-Sinai Hospital. If there's anyone who's selfless in this world, it is Amanda Filliman. And we did have the firefighters versus the police at halftime. What an incredible game that was. Dare I say, a little more exciting than the game we have on hand.
It was quality. Great goalkeeping from the California Highway Patrol goalkeeper. 3 excellent goals. The CHP opens the scoring, and firefighters came back with a set score and a counter 2v1. It was entertaining.
Highly entertaining. And this is a highly entertaining match. It was a little quiet in the first quarter, but then both teams really exploded. Let's see if the Strykers can explode again. Fabian, he scores! Marco Fabian puts the Strykers up by a score of 3-2.
Look at Marco Fabian. Hello, youngster. My name is Marco, and I'm going to run by you. And then slot the ball to the far stick. I mean, that's just the guy, just quick acceleration.
38 seconds into the third quarter, and Marco the Mighty ignites this crowd with his 8th goal of the season. Strykers up 3-2. Julian Rodriguez tried to do what he could, but Fabian's shot serpentines its way past the Blast's dynamic keeper Rodriguez. And that's going to ignite this crowd. Fabian having played for the legendary Chivas de Guadalajara in Liga MX, one of the most beloved teams in Mexico that has a massive fan base here in Southern California. And looking in the crowd at Toyota Arena, seeing a lot of Chivas de Guadalajara jerseys. In fact, our Spanish broadcaster, Julio Ramos, who's currently on the call with Pablo Morales, a massive Chivas fan as well. And all the Chivas fans erupting in this building, as does the Empire Strykers fans. 3-2, the Empire. Sudeth with a cheeky chip into Shalir. Shalir the Cuban, and his attempt saved by Rodriguez. Rodriguez has been tested on a multitude of occasions, and he's come up with some really big saves.
That was big when he was going down and just elevated his left arm just to make that block. That was pretty good.
The Blast are a team that have a lot of incredible veterans that have hit the peak, ascended the mountain that is the MASL. But between Rodriguez and Porch and some of the other youngsters that they have, this is a team that's poised for a lot of success down the road.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very tactical tonight. It just comes down to execution. I mean, an individual effort for Marco on that one. So, I mean, we got to see how the game grows and how they kind of elevate a little bit more.
We mentioned that they're really talented and they have a bright future ahead of them. But look, this is a team that's very capable of making the playoffs. This Melo shot saved by Orozco. Jonatas Melo out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Top 10 in points, goals, and assists here, having spent a decade playing for the Blast. Out of Sao Paulo, played professional futsal in Italy, also in Kuwait, and then thanks to a friend of his, goalkeeper by the name of William Van Zella, he found his way into the MASL playing for the Blast, and well, he's got deep roots here in the city of Baltimore. I can't say here because we're in the city of Ontario, but he has nothing but amazing things to say about his newly adopted favorite city in the United States. And I was going to say, it must have taken some incredible salesmanship to drag you out of Italy to go to Baltimore, as Porch's shot blasts in and ricochets into Isak. That ball's going to ping-pong, pinball around between both teams. But yeah, just finishing the thought on Nello, just with his goal, with his academy, Golasso, and just the roots that he's implemented. A beloved figure in the city of Baltimore.
So Baltimore kind of letting them fly a little bit more from distance so far in this quarter. See if that's an ongoing change or they're going to work to break him down again.
Baltimore looking to blast their way into a tie here. I was kind of waiting for that one. Frater almost found one past Orozco. He just caught too much under his boot. So that one's going to be a goalkeeper restart for the Strykers. Alan Perez out of Van Nuys, California. Almost connected in with Stinson, but he gets muscled off of the ball by Thompson. Well, he goes back. Tried to go back, I should say. his pass too nuclear. Ball is going to corral itself back into the possession of Stinson. Stinson into Perez. Perez, who collegiately played in the Big West Conference Division I at the University of California, Riverside. Somo, the talent that he has, and he nearly goes upper left corner. Somo, I know he's been having a ton of fun since joining his brother here in Southern California. The Somo brothers, just dynamic players, really quick, really fast sprinters, as we have a player down on the turf for the Empire, as we see who that is. Trying to get that was Fabian. Fabian's going to get lifted up by Blast goalkeeper Julian Rodriguez. And we also want to congratulate Marco Fabian on recently getting married. Wasn't that long ago where he was the star of a reality TV show on Peacock, a dating show featuring professional footballers that moonlighted as quote-unquote ordinary people trying to find love. Fabian, the biggest name out of all the names. Pereira gets dispossessed by Chavez. Incredible defense by the former Texas Outlaw. And Munir Alami's going to boot it past the midfield, recovered by Mello into Porch. Porch, who scored the Blast's first goal of the game. And it's all been youngsters, really, Artie, that have scored in this game, minus Marco Fabian. Yeah. I don't want to say he's not a youngster. Compared to you and I, he's significantly younger than you and I. I've jokingly said you've been around since Burger King was a prince, but I can't say I'm that much younger than you are.
I think my feelings are hurt, Philly.
No, they're not. I've recycled that joke time and time again. It's just our friends from Baltimore now get to hear it.
Well, it's not a good time to be a prince of any kind right now.
That's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. Sila, who's had 50 games in the Major Arena Soccer League.
Well, the youngsters have been very exciting, especially for the Strykers. Obviously we've seen them more, but, you were talking to Somo brothers. I mean, they brought a dynamic that's kind of invigorated the team, and we talked about it in previous games. Guys are just building off of that, and then, Walter.
Sila's going to blast it just above the netting, just above the crossbar, and above the hands of Brian Orozco. It's going to be a goalkeeper restart for the Guatemalan futsal nationalist, who spent his youth career in between Guatemala City and Riverside, California, which, believe it or not, the fourth most populous city in the state of California. Also was on the U17 for Guatemalan giant club Comunicaciones. If you follow Major League Soccer, Comunicaciones, a team that's consistently in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which we're now currently seeing going on. The local teams are competing here. LAFC recently was in Honduras having won. The LA Galaxy, I believe, are playing tonight. Fabian connects in with Stinson. Fabian with ties to both the Galaxy and LAFC, having spent time with players that have featured on both teams with the Mexican international side. We're talking about Chicharito for the Galaxy and, of course, Carlos Vela for LAFC. 8:20 remaining here in the third quarter. Palmer into Stinson. The Stinger, as we like to call him, trying to find his pass into Fabian, with Orozco being outside of the net. That was a close call for Baltimore, and for those wondering why he keeps coming out, the goalkeeper for head coach Anu Abassi of the Empire Strykers, they like to utilize the goalkeeper offensively. And with Brian's ability to score from distance, something that he's proven time and time again, including a goal against the Blast when they last met on February the 1st. When he comes out, the Strykers live by the sword and die by the sword. As a foul and a whistle gets blown onto the turf, Shalir is going to get picked right back up. Beautiful display of sportsmanship by Nico Williams of the Blast. Palmer on the restart finds Stinson. Stinson looking to get his way past the yellow line. Fires it, punched away by Rodriguez. Thompson passes to himself. A little bit of trouble as the Stinger nearly regains possession for Empire. Ball is in the corner. Intercepted by Somo, but that's going to be a foul assessed to the Strykers. 7:19 remaining here in the third quarter. Only goal scored thus far by Marco Fabian, 38 seconds into the opening moments of this third quarter. The Blast did score 2 unanswered goals to tie this game in the second quarter after the Strikers' sophomore sensation Munir Alami would find his way into the back of the net. Wellington Bramus still sticking with it. And not anything that's going to appear on the stat sheet, but that was some world-class ability to maintain possession. As Porch gets dispossessed by Perez, he's got Shalier charging with him on the counter, but he telegraphs the pass and Pereira picks it off.
Three-line pass. So three-line passes when a ball travels over both yellow lines and results in a free kick back on the first yellow line that passed over.
Fair to say the indoor soccer equivalent of hockey's icing?
Definitely. On that note, congratulations to the women's Olympic team. I saw that game. That was a great game today.
I believe we have a congratulations to the men's side as well, having defeated Sweden the other night, and they're going to be playing in the quarterfinals against, I believe, Slovakia tomorrow. Stinson on the yellow line on the restart, tries to chip it. That's going to come off of the back of Ospina. Strykers still trying to control it. Stinson into Fabian. Fabian already with a goal today. Into Hernandez. Hernandez going by the nickname Marco. Oh, how I'm dying to make a Marco/Polo goal call here. Only for the simple fact that I loved playing that game as a kid. Diaz Gonzalez, who has been red hot in his appearances for the Strykers. Foot race as Hernandez goes back into Orozco. 6:07 here remaining in the third quarter.
Well played by Polo. Because he played the ball with his knee, Brian was able to use his hands to receive the ball. Had he played that with his feet, he wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Polo out of Sacramento, California. Featured for the UC Riverside Highlanders, along with Alan Perez. It's part of that 2023 Big West regular season and conference tournament championship team led by head coach Tim Capello. UC Riverside has produced a significant amount of talent. Shot saved by Rodriguez. Thompson cleans it. Strykers have a player down. Looks like it's Andy Reyes. Strykers are on the counter still. Reyes getting back up. And we have a structure. I was going to say fault, not foul. As the dasher board comes down, Reyes, though, back up on his feet. And the official is going to hold off. Kia Dapana blows his whistle, because that could potentially be, well, something that the players would run into as the recovery lab dasher board gets picked right back up. And that's going to send us to immediate timeout here with 5:14 remaining. Marco Fabian puts the Strykers up here in the third quarter, up by a score of 3-2. We'll be back on the other side of this break.
Tonight, we would like to give a special thank you to GoCal, your official destination guide to the inlands. Discover the best of Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga, and the surrounding region. From top-tier dining and entertainment to family fun and outdoor adventure, GoCal showcases the best our region has to offer, whether you're new to the area or local looking for something fresh. GoCal has you covered. Discover more at gocal.org.
Plenty to do in the Inland Empire, including heading on over to an Empire Strykers game, the fastest and most exciting show on turf here in the Inland Empire, and home of the only major sports team. A lot of great talent has come out of the Inland Empire in several different sports. Brian Orozco, as he tried to find Somo. Oh. Thompson gets in, and there's a collision between two players. Orozco goes down, trying to get visual confirmation as who that is for Baltimore. It looks like it's number 6, Nico Williams. That had to hurt.
Yeah, that was very close to getting the blue for sure. I mean, he angled over the edge of him so that, he was definitely looking to avoid it. But he was pretty close to plowing Mr. Orozco right there.
50-50 ball, you can argue. Orozco as tough as it comes.
It ain't a game if Brian isn't getting knocked down.
That's true. He has hit the deck a time or two. Chavez into Orozco.
Yeah.
And that's going to come out, almost taking out one of our fans. In fact, our team photographer, Fanny, almost took one to the dome piece. Luckily, she had her back turned towards it. An excellent soccer player within her own right. Welly stuck in some Strykers traffic. Porch trying to clear his way through. He does. He's going to get pushed down, fouled by Alami. The two candidates for newcomer of the year who have contributed significantly offensively. Porch with the first goal for the Blast. Alami has 2 goals and an assist to his credit. He's going to lead to Melo on a restart. Keep your eyes peeled for number 19, Jairo Guevara, who's on that far post momentarily open. Sila right into the hands of Orozco. He's going to let it fly, connecting with Diaz-Gonzalez. Sila closes in the gap. Diaz-Gonzalez's shot comes off of the Omnitrans dasher. Perez. Alami trying to keep it in. A header into Bramus. Welly. Sila. Sila, who in that interview with Michael Lewis mentioned the fact that he loves contributing to the success of his teammates, preferring an assist as opposed to a goal, as he's one of the top pass masters here in the MASL this season. Stinson somehow maintains the touch. He is magic anytime he has the ball to his feet.
That's a pet peeve right there. You know, the ball hit the official. Clearly it was on a path to go off the wall and go in, and the official is saying that he's part of the wall. He's not part of the wall because he's moving all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, ugh. That's a tough one. It definitely impacted the Baltimore's opportunity to go to goal.
Rodriguez in the freighter. Freighter one cap with the Reggae Boys, the Jamaican national team. That's going to be a foul assessed to Hernandez. See how tall Freighter was just standing there, just unfazed by the defensive pressure that Hernandez implemented on him.
Everybody's tall next to me.
Well, I'm going to leave that one alone. I think you're giving me a layup. At the end of the day, with what we do, it doesn't matter how tall you are as a broadcaster, am I right?
I've got my chair all the way up.
I got to stand doing these things. I get too nervous. Opportunity for the Strikers, and a goal. Strikers capitalize. Steven Chavez with another goal from turf to twine. Empire doubles up on the score. They now lead the Blast 4-2.
Just quick distribution from Brian, and just missing out on the 50-50 balls. Just battled there, and then just a little outside of the foot, bender to the far sticks there. So it's just hard work. Luck is when hard work meets opportunity, and he had a great opportunity there because he just, quite frankly, outworked the two Baltimore defenders.
Steven Chavez now with his 6th goal of the season. 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points. Last year playing for an Outlaws team that had its challenges. He had a breakout year, 14 goals, 14 assists. I got to watch him play at TST when he featured for Villarreal. And he's enjoying his time here in Southern California and contributing significantly to the Strikers' offense, and contributing even more importantly for Empire tonight. Palmer into Orozco. Williams going in between them both. Palmer tried to find Fabian, but finds Porch instead. That ball comes back to Palmer, and it's going to take its fun little bounce. Recovered by Nascimento. Porch has had a very interesting professional career, as we had highlighted. A pass into Guevara, who scored the Blast's last goal. Hearing chants of "Here we go, Strikers." And shout out to the fans that braved the rain. I jokingly say rain is the apocalypse in Southern California, as people don't like to come out when it rains. And for those along the lines of much of the country, they would probably laugh at the amount of rain that causes calamity for most Southern Californians. I say this as someone who grew up in the Northeast, a small little town in New York called Queens for a good portion of my life. Pass comes into Guevara. He has his work cut out for him as he's going to try to get past Cutis Lawal and Robert Palmer. And we see a blue card, Tarjeta Azul. The Strikers are going to have their second opportunity at a power play here. As Lawal gets fouled, Guevara's going to head to the bin of sin. It's going to be a 2-minute power play.
Just the elbow to the dome right there. I'm sure that's what it was, because it wasn't that violent of a charge, but his elbow kind of hit him above the shoulders there, right in front of the official. Pretty easy call.
Blue card, Baltimore, number 19, contact above the shoulder. 2-minute power play for Ontario.
The Strykers looking to capitalize on the power play. Not in the upper echelon of teams that score within the power play, but certainly an advantageous position. As we're looking down at the Strykers bench, we see Robert Palmer putting on that 6th attacker jersey. As Brian Orozco is going to look to head to the bench, Strykers are going to look to utilize their super extra attacker. Palmer comes onto the turf. Orozco goes to the bench. 65 seconds remaining here in the quarter. Stinson into Palmer. Palmer has created a lot of opportunities for his teammates throughout the years. That bounce off the wall. Open opportunity. Does it have the ability to go through? And Mello lifts his hand as he's part of the penalty kill, apologizing to his team. But when you have such a clear opportunity, why not take it? Shorthanded goal we've seen Strykers get killed with anytime the keeper's been out of the box. Chavez, who just scored the Strykers' last goal, passes on over to Palmer. Palmer weighing in on his options, goes to the right to Diaz-Gonzalez. Over to Stinson, going back and forth amongst themselves. He shoots it off the wall. The touch by Fabian, less than 20 seconds remaining. Back over to Palmer. Alami open on that right side. Palmer sees Fabian. That takes a bounce off of Nascimento. Back over to Palmer. 5 seconds remaining. Into the corner. Alami. Fabian tried to go for the scissor as the third quarter game clock expires. When we return from the break, the Strykers will still have 43 seconds remaining in the power play to capitalize on this scenario. But we still got a game, folks. 4-2 is hardly a big hill to climb for a team as talented as the Blast, so don't you dare go anywhere. Here we are at the start of the fourth quarter. 15 minutes remaining to declare and determine a winner. The Strykers have led the entirety of this game. The Blast have managed to crawl their way back in the second quarter, where both teams were tied at 2, but goals by Marco Fabian and Steven Chavez in the third quarter have the Strykers sitting on a 2-goal lead. But at this point, this game is going to get incredibly exciting, and it's going to pick up steam. The Blast so far have only had 5 shots in this contest. 0 in the first quarter, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, 5 total. The Strykers have 18, 7, 5, and 6 in each of their respective quarters. So we're going to expect some fireworks here as Pereira tries to take it himself, runs into a brick wall that they call Alan Perez. As Cutis Lawal picked up as a free agent from the Milwaukee Wave this season onto the turf. There we see the aggressiveness of Baltimore coming in to start the fourth quarter. Lawal out of Chicago, he's had himself a heck of a journey, and you referenced Soccer in 60 not too long ago. He had a conversation with Strykers head of public relations, Gunnar Berndt. Incredible story for the young man. And he is really happy, fortunate, and thrilled to be in Southern California. And at the end of the day, who wouldn't be? Although this week, it's been rather rainy and cold, but we're back to the 70s next week.
Definitely reminded me of my NorCal days this last week.
Which is why I chose to move to Southern California, because the idea of having to wear a raincoat was not something I anticipated. But it goes to show you how naive we are in the East Coast, having not traveled to California, anticipating Floridian-like weather minus the humidity, but not the case in January in SoCal. In fact, when we step outside, we may happen to see something that we don't see very often, our breath when we breathe.
It's always interesting when you have players going to different spots of the country and the different weather or a different part of the world. I was coaching 2 kids on the Barbados national team, and we were up north at Feather River College, and it started to snow. Tajio James, All-American, says, "Coach, I have no long pants."
You're right, the journeys of a footballer, but I mean, I can't say I've ever enjoyed the snow. I've always viewed it as the dandruff of the gods. It's just not something I enjoy.
I agree.
As we have a late whistle on the turf. That's going to be a restart for the Strykers. Baltimore looking to claw their way back in. Look, we can't help but highlight the fact that this really is an important game. Both teams are tied in points. If the Strykers can hang on to this, this would be a huge victory for them, as they will play against the Tacoma Stars. They are sandwiched in between the Stars and the Blast. The Strykers do take on the Stars on Sunday, a team that has been very successful at home, not so much on the road, which the same case can be argued about the Blast. But then again, hard to win on the road in any league, in any competition, anywhere in the world. Fabian with the spin. That takes the bounce off of Rodriguez. You just see how quickly Fabian can fire away. Hernandez is going to get called for the foul as Frater hits the deck. He was looking for a blue card. Now, both coaches, and there we see it, challenge flag gets thrown onto the turf by Baltimore as head coach of the Blast, David Bascombe, is irate. Artie, explain to the viewers tuning in at home what the challenge flag means and what happens whether it's awarded successfully or denied.
Well, the challenge flag is an opportunity for a coach who can challenge a call that was not called or a call for a blue card. In this case, Coach Bascombe wants a blue card. I'm sure he's going to argue that he was free to goal.
The call on the field. Blue card, number 8 for Empire. 2 minutes. Power play for Baltimore. Shootout.
Okay, so the opposite official card came in and they discussed it and in fact called it a blue card. So I'm sure Coach Bascombe gets his challenge flag back. And in this case, because he was free to goal, he's going to have a shootout. He's got 5 seconds to score. So even if Brian Orozco makes the initial save, if whoever's taking it there has an opportunity to follow up, as long as the ball's in by 5 seconds.
And what a juicy moment here in this game for all parties watching. Will Brian Orozco stand tall and make the save, or will Juan Pereira, who's in his 201st regular season appearance, find the back of the net for the 13th time, putting his team only down by 1. This is huge opportunity for Baltimore to blast their way back into this game. They've never truly been out of it. Anytime the Strykers have taken, well, not very often, a 2-goal lead, Baltimore has found an answer. The captain on his route, he shoots, he scores! Juan Pereira pushes it past Brian Orozco. The score, 4-3.
So again, scoring on a set-piece situation. So that's 2 of the 3 goals as a result of, an infraction from the Strykers. So certainly they want to clean that up the rest of the way. As far as the finish, I mean, he just waited Brian out and just slotted it by him. Just calm and collected. You mentioned the number of games. I mean, that was just veteranship right there.
Pereira, lucky number 13 in his 11th season in the MASL, over 200-plus points, nearly 130 goals, top 10 in goals, and part of that three-peat iconic Blast run. It's a 1-goal game, 7 goals.
The Strykers have done a very, The Strykers have done a very good job of responding after goals. So, let's see how Baltimore handles that. I'm sure they're aware of it as well.
Well, if history has that tendency to repeat itself, Baltimore is going to get the tie. Welly almost manages to do just that. Shalier bounces it off the wall into Isak Somo. He gets the ball taken away. Nascimento into Melo. The Brazilian bonanzas that are on this Baltimore team. You'd think going from Brazil, you'd want to stay somewhere warm, but so many Brazilians have been heading to Baltimore, and much to the joy of Blast fans, the Brazilians have contributed significantly to the success of the Blast over the last 12 years. Torch.
Just a little more pep in the step for the Blast here.
Pass comes in to Fisher. Fisher, who is a rookie this year, into Melo. Melo back to Rodriguez. Rodriguez is going to bounce it off the wall to Williams, and that bounces over him. Reyes off the National Court dasherboard. Melo takes it away into Fisher. Fans starting the wave here in Toyota Arena. What are your thoughts on the wave, Artie? Never mind that pass into Sila. Look at the play made by Orozco. Hold that thought. Frater. Perez doesn't have any numbers. Runs right into Thompson, who picks his pocket. Pereira, who just scored the goal on the shootout, beating Orozco, connects in with Thompson. But there's Alami. Perez. Thompson's there. dispossessing AP once again. Now, sometimes you find yourself in an arena listening to music you listened to ages ago, CNC Music Factory, or is it Strikeforce playing on the speakers? Can't quite tell. Perez has Palmer open, but Porch is there to intercept, and he collects it back from Frater. Porch into Pereira. The pass into Chad. Clears himself some space. Look at the footwork. Clearing up some space. Coming in. That ball goes back over to Pereira. Into the corner. Cheeky back heel. Sobo almost lost his footing. Pokes it away. Alami, 2 goals and an assist already. Finds Stinson, but there's Porch once again to make a exceptional defensive play. Back heel from Welly into Nascimento. That's going to restart things here for Baltimore as Melo comes back onto the turf for the Blast, as does Thompson and Fisher. Pass in to number 29, Calvin Mwape in his second year. Haven't seen much of him. Goes by the nickname Mumu. Rodriguez into Bramus, the header. Heads it towards the Strykers bench.
I thought he was going to take that with his chest and just set it down, and he got a 3v2 if he could have kept it.
And Baltimore having a heck of a time trying to get it past the midfield and through and into their attack zone. Melo's going to settle on it. Playing in Brazil, his futsal ability has made him one of the most creative midfielders in the MASL. Alami. Strikers do not have the numbers, but he somehow finds the birthday boy, Ben Sudduth. Sudduth still sticking with it. And the Blast recover. We're going to see a lot of this back and forth action between these two teams as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Under 8 minutes remaining here in the contest. Into the corner, Melo chips it out of the defensive third of the turf for the Blast. Strikers now have it with the ability to take a breath. Orozco well outside of his box. The Strikers have found themselves late in games with the keeper outside of the box, carelessly turning over the ball, leading to another goal from the opposition. That happened on Sunday in San Diego. Alami with the opportunity with the strike, but Rodriguez there with the save, getting his paws all over it. Alami recovers it for the Strikers.
Great work from him here.
He's had a great game offensively. 2 goals and 1 assist thus far. This game were to end right now, he would be our top star of the game. There's Fabian. Fabian currently at 97 career points, needs 3 more to reach 100. Shalier. That was close as that comes out and into the camera bin, and that's going to send us to our final media timeout. If you're at home chewing on your nails, you're in good company, because in a few moments I'll be joining all of y'all with biting on my cuticles. If you don't find any excitement in this, folks, you don't have a pulse. 6:55 remaining. We have a little more action left to be had.
Please join us on Sunday, February 22nd at 4:05 p.m. as the Empire Strykers face the Tacoma Stars here at Toyota Arena.
Williams had it off the wall trying to find Pereira. Look at how Baltimore collapsing in on the Strikers.
Yeah, they've been taking quicker shifts up Philly, so they're going to push.
Foul onto the turf. Almost a foul onto the turf as Williams opened up. Shot saved by Orozco.
Excellent save.
Contact there as Nico Williams opened up the door to the Strikers bench, and it looks like we have a player down. I think it is one of the Somo brothers. Can't quite tell, but there was contact as that ball was close to the boards, and we saw Williams avert danger, but not sure if the way he pushed one of the, it looks like it's Isak Somo, whether or not that door hurt him. Hopefully he is okay. The last thing we want to see is any players get hurt. So we resume play. Artie, in 1979, 4 bandmates out of Sweden, Joey Tempest, John Norum, Peter Olsen, and Tony Reno, of the band Europe created a song that went, back then, viral by the name of The Final Countdown. That's exactly what we have here with 6:29 remaining. The final countdown in a game that carries tremendous implications. The Strykers looking to separate themselves from the Baltimore Blast. The Blast looking to leapfrog the Strykers in the playoff position. Only the top 6 teams will get to go to the postseason. Right now, the Strykers are in if the season ended, but the Blast do have 2 games in hand. This would be a huge come-from-behind game for them if they can manage to create an equalizer and a go-ahead goal. They have not led in this game so far. They have managed to get it tied at 2-2, but so many weapons at the disposal of head coach David Bascombe. Can the Strykers stand tall defensively? We saw it on Monday against the Milwaukee Wave, where they held on to the 1-goal lead. As Milwaukee had a flurry of goals, 40-16 against the Strykers in that contest on Monday. But so far today, it's the Strykers that do lead in that statistical category. Last I checked, it was 18-15. Now it's 20-7 in favor of the Strykers. Baltimore Blast far more efficient on their attempts. There's a shot. Look at the defensive play by Stinson, getting an incredible block, denying Fisher of a clean look, and another attempt. Frater cleaned up by Chavez. It's going to come back into Porch right around the midfield, approaching the 5:20 mark in the fourth quarter. Mello to his right, into Fisher. Porch already with a goal to his credit today. Has Welly to his right, off of the wall. And that's going to come back over to Mello. Sila, watch for him trying to thread through the needle. He has been incredible at contributing to the success of his teammates this season. Under 5 to go. Ball comes in to the right side, back into Mello. Entering the turf is Thompson as Guevara heads off. In comes Nico Williams. Williams was part of that exchange moments ago with Somo. Williams tries to turn around, tries to get past Perez. Perez standing, or actually I should say on his back, preventing the play. Sudeth has Shalir and Perez to his left. Strykers on the counter. Perez is going to hold up. If Perez manages to score again, he will equal his career high of 9 goals. Reyes, in his 100th appearance for the Strykers franchise, finds Diaz Gonzalez, the Cuban international. We are approaching the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Folks, how much fun is indoor soccer? The most underrated sport North America has to offer. Hernandez into Reyes. Reyes, who grew up in San Diego, played for the Fury, played for the Sockers, had a career year playing for the Outlaws. Thrilled to be back in Southern California to play around his family. He, along with Charlie and Bebe Gonzalez, run the TC Brothers Academy. Very serious and disciplined player. Came back from a muscle injury. 319, Fabian, as we mentioned, 3 points shy of a milestone 100 points. Into Diaz Gonzalez. Back over to Mighty Marco. He's got Shalir to his left. Shalir against Thompson. Somehow finds Hernandez into Fabian. Fabian spins, the defensive stop by the Blast. And that credit goes in to Ospina.
Yeah, Baltimore's, they're going to need to extend here. Oh, boy.
And that's going to be an unfortunate turnover, I guess you could say, as that one had too much, call it Tapatio. I like Tapatio. In fact, that's what I had on my meal for lunch as it goes over the net.
It also allows for the 6th attacker change.
Jonatas Mello wearing the 6th attacker jersey. Just like traditional ice hockey, you can pull the keeper and add that extra attacker. Can the Blast capitalize here, or will the Strykers prevent the Blast from creating the tie? 2:27 remaining with Mello onto the turf and Sila, 2 dime-dishing dynamos. Juan Pereira wide open on the left. So keep your eyes on him. Intercepted by Steven Chavez. But he gets dispossessed. Chad Porch making a great play. Finds Melo. Here's a counterattack opportunity. Into Pereira. Pereira fires. And the equalizer. Juan Pereira back-to-back goals. We are now tied with under 2 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Tough giveaway, right? I mean, the game is won. So unfortunately, well, you see here, they just moved the ball to the free guy, and then he just found the goal. But it all started with the giveaway. You know, if he just nicks it forward, I think he was trying to put himself in a better position to possibly score on the takeaway. But if he just nicks it forward along the boards, all that goes away, and it's still 4-3. Now it's 4-4.
Pereira, 2 goals in this game, now up to 14. And I like to coin this as a 6th attacker dagger, and the Strykers defense gets stabbed. The game is now tied 4-4, under 2 remaining. The crowd starting to pick up on that decibel level here in Toyota Arena. Toyota Arena, beautiful venue, home of the AHL's Ontario Reign, and there's a foul on Diaz Gonzalez. We don't see the official going into his pocket, pulling out that card. Although we did see a challenge flag get thrown by the Baltimore Blast, but challenge flag, I see David Bascombe, or somebody had a red challenge flag in his hand. You were either watching the game on PBS or on Fox Soccer Plus or on MASL TV. Just whatever medium you were on, we certainly appreciate you, and we are waiting for official confirmation.
The call on the field is upheld. It is just a simple foul. Restart is free kick for Baltimore.
And the Strykers avoided a big one right here as the 6th attacker dagger was sharpened for the Blast. You can argue that the Strykers got, I don't want to say lucky, as the officials did go over to the monitor, but another 6th attacker dagger would have proved to be fatal for Empire.
It would have been fatal, you know, just from a number of fronts. But when you looked at it, you know, Walter just nicked him. It wasn't... you know, he didn't hit him from an angle behind to push him into the wall. He just kind of ran into the wall. So just a slight nudge. So nothing there. Right call by the officials.
Nascimento on the restart. He goes off to the left side. Melo into Pereira. Tried to find Melo again. Lawal has it with Porch pushing him away. Lawal under significant duress. Orozco is going to get it out of the danger zone. We're under 90 seconds remaining. If no team scores here, we will go to a 10-minute golden goal sudden death overtime. If nobody scores then, we will go to a shootout. And what's better than soccer? More soccer. But we still have 63 seconds to determine whether or not we will get there, as that comes out of bounds. It's going to be a restart for the Strykers as Palmer plays it into Reyes. Under a minute to go. Can the Strykers or the Blast find lightning in a bottle? Alami. Look at the defense by Sila.
It's like he had suction cups on the bottom of his foot there. Just pulled it back.
Octopus-like. Diaz Gonzalez. Zombie Nation playing on the loudspeakers here at Toyota Arena. 35 seconds to go. Strykers gonna hold off for a last opportunity here. Diaz Gonzalez into Reyes. Fabian back over to Andy. He's got Palmer and Alami in the box. 20 seconds officially remaining. Can the Strykers fire one off? Baltimore looking to prevent the Strykers from a last minute at the death goal. The chip in. Strykers find Alami. 10 seconds. Pereira kicks it out of the danger. Into the box. Fabian blasts it, misses it. Another attempt. That's going to come off a porch as the game clock expires. Strykers do not capitalize on their final possession. Credit the Baltimore Blast defense. Artie, we're going to overtime.
Sheesh. So we're coming back to Toyota Arena here for overtime. Both teams get 1 point here, so actually they pull level with Tacoma Stars at 20. So now they're playing for the extra point to get the winner. So that'll either be determined in the next 10 minutes of golden goal, or if it's still tight after that, they'll go to a 3-player shootout for that second point. So it's kind of an even-Steven thing. Sets up a great opportunity for Stars coming in on Sunday. level on points, or potentially Strykers ahead by 1 point.
And this game turning out to be a thirsty Thursday classic here. And again, we want to credit our viewers and thank our viewers tuning in on MASL TV, KVCR PBS, and Fox Soccer Plus. You've been treated to 8 goals. Now we are at a 4-4 tie here in sudden death overtime. Next goal wins. Otherwise, we go to a shootout. As I said, jokingly, what's better than soccer? More soccer. Is it going to be the Blast? Is it going to be the Strykers? Who's going to come out victorious? Well, we have 2 teams here that are more than motivated to answer that question for you. Lawal in the Somo. Ali, we haven't seen his brother Isak since he went in to the deck. And that's going to be a foul on Frater, taking down Orozco.
It's very ambitious from Brian.
Brian has been very ambitious, but he has managed to succeed at times. At other times, he's managed to be, well, the opposite of what I just said.
Yeah, I mean, he had the pace to get by there, but I mean, at this point, the start of overtime, I'm not sure Coach Obasi wanted the risk at that moment.
Palmer into Stinson. Who's going to put on that Superman cape? Off the wall. Excellent defense by the Blast. Orozco's going to retreat back into the box. There is a war between Welly and Ali. Ali comes up with it into Shalir, the Strykers' newest acquisition, a big-time target forward who managed to score 11 goals in his time at Utica City FC. Hasn't had many opportunities to practice with this team, but I know the Strykers organization is very high on him. Hernandez into Diaz-Gonzalez, creating space, looking to get past Thompson. There's a shot. And a field goal attempt that would make Adam Vinatieri of the NFL envious. Attempt by Diaz-Gonzalez off the mark. Quick play in from Rodriguez into Pereira. Pereira having an excellent game for the Blast. Already 2 goals. The captain. You can see why he's the leader of this Blast team. And he's going to go down. Play resumes, and the whistle is blown. Looks like it's going to be a foul assessed to the Strykers.
That was a live radio call, a little 5-second delay.
There we see the push-off on Sudeth. So now a dangerous restart for the Blast.
Very dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if they called a timeout here just to discuss it.
Mello on the forefront of this attack. He's got Pereira to the left of him. Porch also to the left of him. Sila. And it looks like Guevara. The Blast are spreading themselves out. Will he call a timeout? And you said it, Coach. You said it. The Blast call for a timeout to go to the X's and O's. I got to keep my eye on David Bascombe, the head coach of the Blast. Will he use his tie once again to clean his clipboard?
You got to love it, man. I'm just telling you.
That might have been my favorite moment of the game, to be honest with you.
You just got to love it. He was just into it, bro. Just into it. That was classic.
I jokingly said this multiple times. If you don't find this entertaining, you don't have a pulse. What's it going to be? Mello into Sila. The shot saved by Orozco. Collapsing in on it. Guevara tried to poke it past Orozco. Under 8 to go. Orozco is going to levitate it high into the air. Nascimento heads it back into his team's bench. 7:54 remaining. Strykers regain possession on the restart. And not too sure what's going on. We see both benches active, screaming on the turf.
Too many men. They're saying Strykers, too many men.
Well, I would hate to say it if that was the case. Not the first time that the Strykers have been smacked with too many men.
Well, I guess the question has to be...
The call on the field is play on and no foul. We are going to review to see if Empire had too many men. The previous play is under review.
I've lost count at the number of times that the Strykers have got assessed with a blue card for too many men.
It could prove to be a fatal error in this game.
Considering how the Blast have been playing today, absolutely. Let's take a look at that video review. I'm going to deflect this one to you, Coach.
You know I can count. I can't read, but I can count.
Well, I mean, you need size 36 font on the screen in order to read.
Well, this 104-inch plasma we got for our replays helps.
Well, if you think this is a 104-inch plasma, then I'm kind of terrified as to what you're seeing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there someone up high? Can't really see to the right of the screen. So there's 2, 4, 5.
So if the Strykers do get hit with too many men, tell our viewers at home what that means.
And then Baltimore would be rewarded with the power play. So it'd be 5 versus 4 or on the floor. So 6v5.
And we saw how Baltimore capitalized on the man
2, 4,
advantage.
5. Yeah, I think the other view we didn't see the Lamy, yeah? 2, 4, 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe they're saying, is that Lawal that's sitting on the boards there? Maybe he came on and then jumped right off right away. Is that that may be what they're looking at? Because we account for a Lamy.
So we're getting the angles from every single direction, and shout out to our production crew for giving us all these camera angles. We are blessed to have incredible camera angles and a great production crew here. We are still waiting for the official verdict. If the Strykers get smacked upside the head with too many men, this would give Baltimore an ample opportunity to make them pay for a repeated mistake that they have made time and time again.
After review, Empire was playing with too many men.
Oh boy.
So there is the official verdict. Blue card assessed to the Empire Strykers. Too many men. And Artie, if we had a nickel for every time that the Strykers got hit with too many men, guess what? We'd be able to have a handful of gumballs. Now Baltimore has an opportunity to capitalize here. 4-4, 7:54 remaining in this contest.
This is big time now to step up. You know, I mean, the Strykers have done well. They've pressed. They've pushed the time for the 2 minutes. So, you know, this is a time where they've got to step up now.
The penalty kill for the Strykers has been just a couple of notches below 80%.
You see, they've got the ball so they can kill some time here. They're very good at this.
They are at possession, but now that possession belongs to the Blast, although we just had another whistle. .741 remaining here in overtime. Just as a reminder, next goal wins. If that 7:41 expires, we are going into a shootout. We haven't had any shootouts, actually, for that matter, this season.
Nope.
When you start doing this as long as we have, sometimes you start to lose track of these types of things. But yes, no shootouts thus far this season.
Other games, there were a ton last weekend, huh?
It seemed that way, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Mello on the restart, the official over there at the scores table.
So we'll see as they build out. I mean, not sure why they would stop it. So just a little restart. So you can see Strykers are going to want to press and put pressure on the ball right away to, you know, milk time, force an errant pass, hopefully. So as we're about to start. All the officials, I wish the teacher would make the call. All the officials have their hands up, have the answer. But nope, going back over. Another announcement. Maybe the clock.
Did we just hear a Dragnet sound clip? We might be dating ourselves with even knowing that reference here. There's kids in their 20s that are wondering what in the heck it is we're talking about. All right, so Mello plays it in the porch on the restart. Under 8 to go here in overtime. Mello, the midfielder extraordinaire, into Silla, who has found his knack at contributing dimes to his teammates.
going to be interesting there, Philly. It appeared to me that they gave the Blast another extra 5 seconds when maybe it was the clock there where
Oh, and there was a play as Perez tried to find Lawal, but the Blast playing defense, denying the Strykers of a clean look at a short-handed goal. Palmer plays it off the wall. Perez smashes it off the wall, collected by Sila. He finds Melo as we're approaching the 7-minute mark remaining in overtime. The pass comes in over to Porch. Porch goes back to Melo. At this point, we are under a minute to go within this power play. The Blast looking for a clean look. Strykers trying to kill this penalty. The ball comes into Ospina, up top to Sila, into the left to Pereira, who's eyeing a hat trick. Him and the Strykers' Munir Alami both sitting on 2 goals. Porch loses possession. And we see Palmer, who comes up with it, tried to use the wall, and a foul gets assessed. The whistle gets blown. 24 seconds remaining on the power play. Strykers have it close enough to kill this power play. Palmer on the restart is going to advance it into Stinson. Stinson chests it into Hernandez. He collects the pass from Chavez. Pereira heads it. Stinson with the touch. Poked back to Thompson. He's going to get it back to his keeper, Rodriguez. 10 seconds on the power play. Pereira advances it across the midfield. Goes back to Melo. And thank you again, folks, for tuning in to KVCR PBS. Porch into Melo. Melo to Sila. The penalty is killed. The Strykers successfully maintain defensively. They stand their ground. Getting close to that halfway point here in overtime. Perez looking to assault Rodriguez. He kicks it off the Marcel Wellness Center banner. Porch has it. Passes it in.
So they're still under peril, the Strykers are, because they haven't had a chance to change out their defenders for the power play, and they've been out there for the 2 minutes. So
cheeky back heel. Strykers recollect it. Palmer into Orozco, who's going to chip it high. Headed. Hernandez comes back up with it. Chavez into Palmer. Under 5 to go here. Strykers now with a little space to operate. Perez instead is going to backtrack into Chavez. Chavez with a goal to his credit today. He's going to go across the turf into Diaz-Gonzalez. He's going to casually progress the ball forward before backtracking to Palmer.
Just allowing the changes there, Philly. Slowed it up. Now they've got a fresh legs out there, except for Berto.
Berto, just an Iron Man today.
Definitely.
Berto is the nickname of that man right there. Captain of the Empire Strykers, Robert Palmer. Into Orozco. Orozco has had game winners against the Blast in the past, as has Justin Stinson. Orozco with a lot of space. He's going to pass it into Fabian. Fabian back to Diaz-Gonzalez. Strykers spreading the Blast defensively. Stinson. He shoots off the chest of Rodriguez. Fabian has it. Fabian shot. He misses. The ball is loose. Headed out by Melo. Collected by Diaz-Gonzalez. 3:46 remaining. Strykers still maintaining possession. Who is heading into the phone booth? Who is putting on the Superman cape? Who is going to be Clark Kent? So many questions that we have to ponder. So many questions that we are anticipating to be answered. Will it be the Strykers? Will it be the Blast? Will we go to a shootout? This is MASL at its finest. Stinson to Diaz-Gonzalez. To Fabian. Nascimento turns it around. Finds Porch.
Well
into the left to Melo. Yes, absolutely well played. It bounces off the wall into Thompson. Thompson gets swarmed. Clear space. He's got an opportunity. Misses off the Strykers' dasher board. He somehow gets by 4 defenders. There is a piece of the back wall out. Another opportunity. The goal is missed, and an opportunity, and the capitalization. And a game winner. It is number 19, Jairo Guevara, who scores the game winner in overtime. The Blast win in what's been an incredible game of indoor soccer.
Just methodically sticking to their game plan, trying to slow down, allowing the Strikers to play in certain gaps, and then they just catch him here. Very unfortunate. The wall goes down. Generally, they would, make the call, but then just didn't go that way. I mean, clearly a dangerous situation for the player. Clearly, right? I mean, it's impeding the play. I mean, if a ball were rolling into the goal, it couldn't go in because the wall is down, or that piece is down.
And Pereira, that's what we call a Wallace scorer, off the wall one-timer.